Hey everybody, gonna do some coloring today. Working on a cover for Sean Salter's Silence Dogood. Make sure I'm in camera here. And as you can see here, I've got all my flats done. The flats are just your areas on your figure that you go in there and flatten with one flat color. And then you can lock that layer up here with your little lock button. So it doesn't affect anything else. So let's see. I'm going to get a brush here, a simple brush. I use basic brushes when I color. The round ones, the hard ones, and the soft ones. That's it. I don't need anything fancy. But if you see here, I can take a color and it won't go off the edge, which is great. So the flat, you get a flat area, just a flat tone, and you lock it. Now I can just paint away. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to paint this. They have 3 characters here. We got Ben here, Ben Franklin, actual Ben Franklin, young Ben Franklin. Nash is the cowboy guy. And then Maggie is the sort of ninja lady. So I do have a color scheme in mind with this, but I probably try a lot of different color schemes. What I'm going to do first, though, is do kind of the things that I just want to be the same. So, okay. Let's see. All right, let me see if I'm actually on live here. Hang on a second. I didn't even know. Let me check if I am in fact live streaming. Oh, yeah, that's me. I am. Okay. All right, gonna get into this face here. Now I start with a basic flesh tone face. That's what I do. And then I tend to add, whoops, this is too much. I don't want that. I want a soft brush here. That's too hard. Okay, now we got a soft tone. When I paint, and that's kind of what I do with these colors. When I paint, I color, I keep one hand on my option key to switch it to my, when I have a brush hand, I switch it my option key so I can go to the eyedropper and pick a color. So that's very useful when I'm working because I work kind of quick and painterly and I want to just grab color. So let's say I want this flesh color. I got that back. Get that red again. I really kind of approach my coloring in a very sort of standard way, which is red on the cheeks, a nose, lips. This is basic, traditional painting, really. So I'm gonna grab some colors right from here like that. Grab that girl's Maggie's cowl color. That's a little nice blue. I'm going to get a little more yellow. Now, when I go the lighter areas, I tend to make them more yellow. So I started with that basic flesh color. And I hit here with the yellows on the highlight areas. So I don't know how much I want to do with him, because he's supposed to be a bit younger of a man. So I don't know if I want to do the 5 o'clock shadow too much. I'm gonna make it happen, and then I'm gonna pull it back because I do want him to be, a man, rugged and stuff. Even though he's young, he can still be kind of tough. You can see where I'm at here. Photon or Polton says I suck at coloring currently. This is a good lesson on it. We'll find out. Maybe I'll screw it all up. If you guys look at my video on coloring, understanding coloring, you'll see that the colors are really just a combination of paint colors. Really, all colors are a combination of red, yellow, and blue. So I could actually sit here and paint with, if I did it really subtly, just with red, yellow, and blue, and get flesh tones. I mean, I have to add a little bit of white to it if I wanted to. Some guys, I remember guys when you're in the painting days, when we just did paint was only no computer. There's guys who would use a bucket of red. They buy a bucket of red, a bucket of yellow, a bucket of blue, and white and black, and that's all the paints they had. And it's kind of a little more difficult sometimes because some colors are, paint colors anyways, are not really going to get you there because they're contaminated with white or black. So they're not pure red and pure yellow, blue, pure blue. You can't really get that. So it didn't work perfectly, in my opinion, but it worked good enough for them. You can do something. You can get a good color variation, at least with that. So you can see what I did. Pretty much, I mean, I could, really, in a sense, be done with this face. Just about. Didn't need to do too much. I don't want to make the lips too red because then it looks like he's got lipstick on. So. Tougher guys, you kind of make the lips a little bit thinner. And this guy's a younger man, so it's a little more full. At least that's why I approach it. So that's not too bad, really. I'm going to do the eyes because I want to get that. You'll see how this comes alive once the eyes are done here. I'm going to close a couple windows here. Hey, Eric, how are you doing? Painting away here. I'm going to hopefully work on something for Eric very soon here. For Battlepick Road, folks. Go check out that. You can buy that now. You can back it now. An Eric Weather's site. Very cool story. It is like Wizard of Oz, only cool. The cool twist, which of course means for an artist, anyways, it's eye candy, wet land. You can have a lot of fun with it. All right, see how that face it came alive. It didn't need too much, really. I'll probably go back and revisit it again and again. But like, where's the? I feel like the hair. Where's the hair? Okay. Hair's a little tricky, actually. Sometimes. I think he's kind of got brown hair in the comic. So I'm going to use some darks. You can do it different ways when you're painting. You can go dark first and pull back with the lights. It's so easy in Photoshop to do that. Or you can just gradually build it like you might do with traditional paint. See, that's pretty much done. You see, it's how simple sometimes this stuff really is. I can add just a bit of, maybe a bit of red, just to try to create some interest in the color too. Make his hair a little more alive. Again, check out my coloring tutorial, understanding color. How I wouldn't. I like to. If you want to keep something vibrant and alive, stay close within that color wheel spectrum. If I add white to this, it'll kill it. As a matter of fact, let's add white to it. Find out what happens. You'll see what I'm saying. I'm gonna color this all with white instead. And you see what happens when you add white to a color. All of a sudden, it's gray. See how it's not necessarily. They may be what you want. You may want a grayer picture, but I don't. I want this to be colorful. So I'm going to use yellow with the brown. I'm going to use yellows and reds to highlight this thing. I kind of liked what I did before. I kind of screwed it up. Oh well. Yeah, Eric, you owe me some reference. Yes. I'm kind of waiting on it. But actually the timing's perfect because I really I have a window coming up here. Really after I do this, I'm open. I got a free window, so that's perfect timing. If you get that to me soon. I'm really excited to work on that. I think I'm drawing a lion-like creature or something like that, which is freaking awesome. All the stuff I work on in Comic Skate stuff is just so much fun. So much of the stuff I worked on in my career, I was like, I don't want to work on this. But you get whatever you get. That's the thing. When you're not independent, you have to do whatever that's available. And if you don't like it, too bad. The crowdfunding thing, oh my gosh, the make your own comic books. You can do whatever you want. You want to draw a crazy 3-headed monster that day? Put it in your story. Make it happen. It's so much fun. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's see. Let's pull back. It's okay. See, I will after I'm done with this, I'll add some tones to this thing too. The overall. Like I can go here. I got my Ben folder with all the different things. If you notice here, it's like goggles, skin, gun detail, gun, vest, pants, calves, shoe buckles, shoes, hair. It's all in different layers. But once it's all grouped in one group, and I add a layer to that, I create a clipping mask. You might not be able to see that because it doesn't. I'm showing a window only, but I just did a right click and on that layer and created a clip. Went down to the menu, chose clipping masks. Now it's a clipping mask. I can go to my multiply layer. I make that layer into a multiply. It means it multiplies everything above with what you're going to put on top, and then I can go in here and add some subtle shading like that. See, a little bit of blue there. A little bit of yellow, so I can kind of just play around with it. But hang on a second, I gotta darken. You can see how you get a nice effect in it, and sort of, if you feel like you went too far with your coloring, you can go back and sort of even it out a little bit, give it a color, make it a more of a consistent color palette. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I think I'll do his shirt next. Where's the pants or shirt? Might just be, oh, here it is. Okay. I'm gonna use some white. Now this one is it's kind of gray, so I'm not adding color with this one so much. There's a color underneath it also, so I'm not worried about intensity of the color here. Because I'm using the yellow that I put down as a base to add to create enough color. Okay, so that looks about, that's the only place you see his shirt. Now I'm going to add some blue in the shadow parts. And a little bit of black. I'm trying to get there. I don't really like the color. It's too yellowy. I want it to be a little more red. So I'm adding a bit of red to it now. You can see it's taking the yellow from a yellow to orange, more orange. Then I go back and add some more white. Okay. One more blue. Some serious blue. Sometimes things like just fabric it's a little more subtle, and trying to get there is not that easy. I'm going to use some brown actually. I'm really hating that yellow thing, actually, to tell you the truth. Oops, I don't want that. That was looking out okay, actually. That's not too bad. Got some variation in colors in there. Okay, now his vest is kind of just gray, but I'm going to go to do his hands, doing the skin. Again, I'm adding red to the fleshy parts, like the certain parts of the knuckles. I'm even going to add a little bit of pink. I'm going to get in here to add some blue, sort of to help indicate the veins. I'm pushing it a little bit right here this time, but I'll pull that back. Now I'm going to grab a bit of yellow. See, I just did my eyedropper. There happened to be some yellow there. That's nice gold yellow. That's useful. Now I'm going to grab some white there and try pulling that white out a little bit. All right. It looks kind of a little bit, you want the hands to be masculine so that you can make them a little bit dirty. This guy, back in the Ben's days, I don't know if they washed their hands that much. So. Maybe they didn't have dial soap or anything like that. So. All right, okay, we got some colors we're pulling in here. Don't want to lose the color on that knuckle though too much. Around these knuckles. Okay, that's not too bad. I don't want it to be too gray either. A little more red here on that to turn that. Sometimes when you have a gradation of a shadow, it's good to add a little bit of red on that gradation because that sort of simulates the way skin is translucent, and as it hits the shadow just on the edge, you'll often see a red, sort of a red bit here that sort of simulates the transparency of the skin. So you can see that's kind of fleshy now. What time we got here? I'm going to do this hand down here. I'm going to grab a little bit of that red. Looks pretty good. See red on knuckles? Little bits of blue maybe on the veins. Now I'm going to try to turn that. Maybe shape and mold this a bit. Hey, there's Frog Tony. Hey, how you doing, Tony? Saw what you looked like finally. I saw a picture you posted. Okay. Now I may push back these. I'm making the knuckles a little dirty just to give it some masculinity more. But I may go back and pull, or color them up a little bit if they get too muddy. I don't want them to be too gray. I want them to have life to it. Again, I'm going to add some reds right here as I turn to give it transparency and translucentness, maybe a little bit, simulate that. It's not necessary, just a fun little thing to try. You know, you just play around with these colors until you get them right. But see, on this flesh, I really have red, yellow, and blue. I'm using all those colors, and I'm trying to stay away from the whites again, because as soon as I add white or black to the color, it will turn it gray. So you know, I'll add it, but see, I'll add it just subtly. Just be really careful. Maybe a highlight area. But I'm really careful with it because it deadens the color, and I really want this thing to be alive with color. Even though I'm painting realistically, I like it to be comic-y, which means pushing that color. See, I don't even like that white highlight. I'm taking it out. I'm going to add some actual pink. really adding, going the color variation route. So it adds, when you don't want to do too much pink, but pink next to red is kind of cool. It makes the red kind of hotter. Okay, see, there's something that's not too bad. Not too shabby. So let's see how this is coming along. Looking a little too yellow right there. I can see that. It's fine for now. I might take out some of these. Wait, what we got here? I think I have I'm going to go to my line work on this one here. Where's the line work? Here's the line work. I'm gonna actually take out a little bit of this messy line work because I want to complete it with paint. So just a little bit of this stuff. It's a little harsh. Down here too. Just some of these lines I wasn't loving them. I can tell too that actually I need a little more in the bit on the major portion here. I need a little more. I wasn't quite on the lines here. All right. Okay. All right. I like it. Looks cool. You pull back. Now the funny thing is when you're working on this stuff, he's like, I'll be going in there working on this and getting in there really tight. But the reality is when it prints, this is actually pretty darn small. Look at the size of the picture. So how much time I spent. This is why computer coloring is you got to be careful because again, you can actually spend too much time on it. All right, I'm going to take some of these lines off of the shirt as well because I want them to be done with color more than with line. Just softening them up a little bit, taking out, so I can work with the color on that and turn that. Because I'm drawing a comic book drawing, and then I'm scanning in it, and now I'm taking over. I tend to go heavy-handed with my painting, so that means the drawing often just gets in the way. Hey, Paulus, how are you doing there? Thanks for showing up, you guys. Appreciate it. I haven't done one of these in a while, actually. Now, eyes, interestingly enough, people think, oh, the eyes are white. No, they're really generally not. Look at any photograph, put a white piece of paper next to it, and you'll see that they're never really white. Same thing with teeth. Although it is comics, and you do push things one way or another for sure. I think with this line work too, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to lock this layer so I'm going to use some blue. I want to kind of take out a little bit of that. Oops, it's got the white. Okay, back to the skin. Yeah, I'm not totally sure how to mold this face, so I'm gonna have to play with it. My colors are all there. I'm happy with the colors. But I gotta see how I want to shade it. You can see I'm pushing it pretty far to the dark side here. He's getting pretty gnarly, but I don't want to lose it. He's not tough like the other character, Nash, the cowboy, the Clint Eastwood type kind of guy. This one, I'm trying to keep youthful if possible. So I'm pushing it, but I'm going to pull back. I think I'm going to add. one of the areas where age is added to a figure is here. A lot of people do this when they're doing their drawing. They'll put this thing in here, like, okay, well, okay, if it's a tough guy, sure, but when you're doing women or any kind of youthful person, watch for that line. The wrinkles matter. I'm trying to shape and mold it without making it wrinkly. We want strength, but not necessarily ruggedness. One thing too you got to be careful of is you keep going at it, and it's like, and you got to know when to stop too. Like, oh, that looks good, done, stop. Sit there all day and working on something. But I can't help it sometimes. Now, the main thing here is I'm taking out, if I can, a lot of I had blue in there for his 5 o'clock shadow, but I don't know if I want him to do that because that is making him look too old, too rugged. So I'm trying to pull it off, pull out some of that, knock the blue out. I think it's good. I think I'm going to just quit this one and this part here and come back later because sometimes you get too close to it too. You want to just give it some time and say okay, because it may be fine and you don't want to screw it up. I am adding a little bit of a highlight right here, right by the nose. So I'm not indicating this part really, but I am indicating it with a highlight rather than a shadow. So there is a change. You're indicating a change in the plane of the face. But so a lot of times, where you're hitting with the highlights, the top of the nose, this all the edges here, the cheeks, and then the top here where the where the mouth is starting to come out. Hey, Arderoy, how you doing, buddy? Okay, let's see. I think I'll do those goggles. See how I can handle them. I think I'm going to switch them to. This is basically a yellow though, and I don't really like that yellow. I'm gonna go to my my hue and saturation, and I'm gonna change it to a blue. I think it just be easier to get where I want to go. Oh, I forgot. I have to look at the reference here and see what does this actually look like? Is it gold? I think it's gold. Or well, yeah, or brass. So it looks like a kind of brass thing. A steampunk, in essence, is what we're thinking here, which is cool. I love steampunk. It's almost gonna be the same color as the hair, so I'm gonna pull out of the hair color right out of there. Like, oh, that's convenient. I got to figure out where I'm going to put the. Okay, steampunk is brass, which is kind of like a got a reddish feel to it. I'm putting plenty of red on it. But now I'm going to add some highlights, whites. A weird feeling in the air. I don't know what you're talking about. Life is weird. It's always weird. It's spring. That's what you're feeling. It's spring is in the air. Seasons changing, depending on where you're at. Okay. I gotta figure out. I didn't draw this really well with. I mean, I'm going in. Again, this is a really small piece of when you pull back, it's tiny. So I when I zoom in, I realize I didn't draw it that tightly because it's tiny. I did draw it tightly. It just looks super loose here. It's like, wow, that guy looks like he was drinking a ton of coffee or something, or on drugs. He couldn't draw a straight line. Nope, it's just zoomed in. Anyone zoomed in that far is gonna be off. My highlights like this. Okay, you can see it's kind of looking good. I don't know if I want to go. I think I might go here and here rather than there on top and bottom. Wonder what his actual the strap color is. I'm really particular about when someone gives me an assignment. I'm very particular about what stuff looks like. I like to get accurate. I think it's fair to the fans. I think you disrespect the fans when you ignore the costume and sort of it just seems like you don't care, and you need to care. So the strap is leather, and I'm going to make it leather. Okay, I think that's okay now. It's looking sharper than it even would. All right, got the metallic feel. That's another thing to look at too. As I do these things, you'll see all the things that I did those lessons of. Those things are packed with very good information. Like I'm using it now, like how to paint metallic surfaces. I show you all the different ways to get different types of reflections you can get, and that's important. So I'm using all that knowledge right now that I studied and learned and practiced. I want something fairly pretty reflective, but metallic, not necessarily highly, not like mirror reflection, but reflective nonetheless. It's brushed metal. So I have to pull back sometimes to just get things right. Sometimes I overdo it when I get in there, and I just pull back. Go, no, I don't like that. It's not looking right. Too much white. So I'm adding just some color in here. Sometimes you end up you're working on this stuff and you realize you don't want to render everything super realistic. You want it to be a shape. It's if everything's rendered perfectly evenly, your eye gets distracted by all that stuff. And sometimes you want it to be want parts to fade out away and parts to pop out. And that's when I noticed when I came back, I'm like, oh, that white I was using on there, it wasn't really working. But I don't want to fade it to look just like the hair either. That's kind of a problem. So I may actually go start taking it more towards the dark. I may push it to black. Okay, let's see what's going on here. How do I approach coloring at night or in unusual light settings? Well, it's kind of the same. I hate to say, but it's like you're when you're drawing these things, you kind of make you make it work. You make it fit your circumstances. So I kind of approach it the same way. Really, you can. It's almost like maybe the background is what's more affected when you're approaching a night scene. Because generally, if you're thinking about a night scene, you still have to have a contrast. You still have to have something popping out. So something has to be lit. So the approach is still kind of like if I was doing this face and it's at night, it's still be have a street light on them or something like that. It's kind of the same thing as if it's sunlight, because it is comics and it's illustration, so it's not necessarily super realism we're looking at here. All right, the face looks good. The face to me is absolutely the most important part. No question about it. If you get the face right, you get the eyes right, the expression right, you can screw up the rest of it a little bit, and it's not going to be a big deal. But boy, you don't get that face right, and you don't. It's not right. It's not going to be good. That's where your storytelling is, all in the face. How he's looking, what his concerned look, but not, heroic, slightly worried. He still looks a little too. I think I still have to take him back. He's a little too old, so I'm gonna pull out a little bit of that, more of that. Get rid of that 5 o'clock shadow there, a little bit more. Just help him out. Help him get there. Now, if let's say you wanted to do something at night, like let's say, I got this multiply layer here, which I'll just take this out. You have cool options. Like you can, with the multiply layer, I can take a blue here and then maybe, why isn't it working? I'm on the wrong layer here. Let's multiply. Oh, that's right. I see right now. Don't have the white. Okay, so I could do something like this. You see how like maybe that's a night scene suddenly. looks dramatic. I can use my hue and saturation to change different colors to it too, and all kinds of funky things. This is the layer set on multiply. So darken it. So that's more like, street lamp type thing happening. Okay, the face looks good. Maybe I should try a girl. I'm doing faces today. Yeah, so the skin tone's kind of the same. Now, let's say you wanted to, you could, like, let's say, here's a good idea. Maybe if you wanted to make this kind of night scene, I could let me fill this whole layer with a blue. Okay, so now in the color palette, if you're interested in that, I could just, play with the opacity of that layer, so you can get all kinds of different effects. So that maybe that's too much, that's sunlight to you. And then, you tap it down, gets a little more nighttime scene. So this is just a flat color turned into on a layer turned into a multiply layer. But then, of course, there's a lot of stuff you can do with the multiply, with these layers. This is on multiply. Let's go down to, there's color burn. There's an overlay, soft light, hard light. So you can get a cooler palette if you're looking for that for a night thing. Go down to color. Changes the color a bit there. So, but I tend to like, I tend to want pretty intense colors, comic book colors. But it's, completely personal preference. What do you want to see? But that's your capabilities. You can really change the colors and make them grayer or bluer, and any color you want. Warmer. Hey, as a matter of fact, let's try doing that. Well, I'm going to change this color just for fun into a really flaming color here. Pretty warm red, orangey red. So you can see how I got, now that could be something to it. Candlelight, now you're thinking, or something like that. It still has all the same color things below, but with the multiply layer, multiplies a nice warm color. So now you got a nice kind of cool warm effect on him. So that could be your nighttime. So thinking about all these different colors that you could add to the whole thing once you're done, but really, it's not going to affect too much your standard approach to your coloring. Is for me, anyways. Okay, let's work on the Maggie person for a bit. I want to lock all these layers. Select them all, Shift Select, and then push that locky button up there. Okay, so now this is interesting because you have to be very. I'm going to paint her, without the mask layer on, and then just add the mask layer after. Let it shine through, in other words. So I got a nice flesh tone, as I like to start that with that. I'm going to hit her nose area, cheeks area. See, just doing that, just that little bit of variation. Nose, cheeks, ears. And I could almost be done. I could just take a highlight, tap that in there, and see how that's almost like Adam Hughes type coloring done. I'm going to push it a little farther though. I want a little more softness on the shadow of the eyes. Now I left these eyes actually open for color. There's, when you have an eyeball, there's that flesh tone inside the eye. So the white part that I left here is a little larger because I know where I wanted to go with it. So I would normally, I wouldn't leave so much space around her eye, but because I'm going to go in here and draw that flesh, paint that flesh, and I knew I was going to do that, I left that eye pretty wide open. Just like it is on your normal eyelid. You have the eyelash, but then there's the eye flesh inside. Again, I don't want these to be totally white. Knocking it back. Brown eyes. And with the reflective stuff, again, the eyes are a lot like metallic reflections. So check out the video on metallic reflections to understand how to do reflections. Let's pull back and see what that looks like. Looking better. Those eyes look a little weird though. So I've been painting as a professional for 37 years now. I'm still like, I don't know how to do that. That doesn't look right. What did I do wrong? So that's the process of becoming an artist and learning to be an artist. You're like, it's problem solving. Okay, that eye doesn't look right. What's wrong with it? Got to figure it out. And it can take time. And it can take years sometimes. Sadly, that's the truth. Okay, I'm putting the shadow beneath the nose, but I am careful of that. Watch you don't want this to be gray. You don't want a little Hitler mustache or anything like that. A kind of shade, be very careful not to use a blue to shade it like you do with men, because you don't want to give her 5 o'clock shadow. So, or maybe you do. It could be Marvel Comics now, today. In an Adam's apple. Oh my God. Okay, what are your favorite comic series now and as a kid? It's interesting because when I was younger, I collected. I was a serious artist from the start. I loved comic book art the minute I saw it. So when I went to the store, I picked comics based on what I liked to color. I mean, what I liked to the art. I based it on the art. So I found a lot of interesting things. I would get a Spider-Man, of course, and things like that. But I would buy like Judge Dredd at Eagle Comics because I thought the art was cool. I liked Tomb of Dracula because I loved Gene Colan's art. I didn't necessarily go for the story, but I also end up liking the stories too because most comics back then were well written. I like all kinds of stories. And now here, by the way, I want to interrupt this message for a little tutorial. Watch the nose lines. Watch the nose lines. I'm going to take this. I'm locking that line layer. It has the layer of line on it, and I'm going in here to take this way down. Do not want much around that. The nostril's okay, but even the nostril you might want to pull it back a little bit. Noses, take a look at Adam Hughes stuff. He really knocks back the nose lines. And I could do it with the lips too, but it doesn't matter so much because these lips are going to be under the mask. So I'm not have to worry about things. It's too much for this. Now I'm going to put that mask line on there. Okay, see. Whoops, and there's a problem too now. Now that's behind this layer. That line I just made light, I might have to make dark. Yes, this is that problem solving stuff I'm talking about. Okay, it's a problem. Got to fix that. I have to keep that in mind that the mask is going to change it. But back to the question is what I liked to if I collected all this stuff that I loved and for the art reasons. So I would buy, I'd find Mobius stuff and Epic Illustrated. Like I said, Tomb of Dracula. That was a big one for me. I loved Gene Colan's work. I love it. Dynamic realism. That's my favorite stuff. I loved um, Walt Simonson's work. I loved it on the Thor. I thought that was fantastic stuff. Really cool. Interesting guy too because that was when comics started to move a little bit more into the expressive nature. Not so realistic. Up to that point, they were kind of just realistic, things. Let's go get these eyes again. And he made more. His Thor had like a little tiny head and a huge body. In other words, huge exaggerations, but that really worked in his style. That's when stylization started coming to comics, and it really was a good thing. I think, anyways. Of course, I'm not a fan of some of the other stylizations like Liefeld and stuff like that. I wasn't a big fan on that, but although that stuff is still interesting and so good, just some of it I thought was I like I miss. I mean, I'd like both. Like I don't like it to be any one style to dominate, and I feel like that stuff's dominated for a while because it's a little bit easier to pull off. But and so I don't want it to go away. I like it, but I want it to be balanced with the traditional stuff too, which is really really beautiful. Okay, she's coming along. She's looking pretty good. Pretty, pretty, pretty good. Who knows what that is? Okay, the mask. Now I don't know if I may. I'm not sure. I think I may just. I'm not sure how to handle the mask. Really, I have to figure that out because I know it's solid, but I don't necessarily want to. Um, well, let's see if I just take it out a little bit, take it back. That may be good. I don't know. I got to figure out how to make it. I almost wish it was transparent. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe I'll have to ask Sean about that if I have that option. It doesn't matter that much because it's all everything's in her eyes. I mean, the whole look is in her eyes, and so I could almost take that stuff out here. Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna end this live stream for now. I'm trying to do this whole coloring job online so you can see it from start to finish. Oh, Larry David, yeah. Did I watch the series finale? I no. I think there's like a last. I think I watched it years back, and I think there's a couple more seasons that I haven't watched. So um, I kind of have to look for a time to watch it by myself because it's cringe stuff. My wife does not like to watch cringe humor. I love it. I love Impractical Jokers. I love this funny stuff that pushes the envelope in comedy. But she just is like, oh, the cringe. Even for me, that's sometimes Curvy Enthusiasm is pretty cringy, but it's funny. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna try to color this whole thing online, hopefully, and so start to finish, and so you can see the process. But I gotta go get some for dinner. I go right now. Let's see where I'm at. But she looks good. First part done. Sometimes this goes pretty fast once I get like the faces done and that sort of thing. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to handle these. I did do a color comp. I wonder if I could bring that up. show you my color guide, so to speak, that I picked. I'm not sure if it looks that great, but you can see where I'm kind of headed to. Okay, there it is, the color compass I'm thinking of. I'm not in love with it, so but we'll see. Once all these areas are really painted more nicely, it might come alive better. But I want a really beautiful color scheme with this, and I don't really feel like it's quite there yet. But here's the thing: is I got to stick with the colors of the characters. That I have to get do their costumes right. I do love accuracy, so I'm going to get the characters done, get their comics, their colors accurate, and then I'll try to figure out how to work out the background to best put together a nice composition. I want something that pops. It really gets attention, but at the same time, I do want it to be a nice, put together color scheme that's not unpleasant to look at. That's not has too much contrast or something like that. So we'll see as I do this. We'll get there hopefully. So you can watch. You guys hopefully can see me completely mess up everything on this. Let's see if any other comments here. Mask the hit light. The mask to hit like the lips. Yeah. I'll think of. I'm thinking of doing that, putting some molding on the mask itself, and see if that works for it too. Yep. So, all right, that's it, guys. Thank you, Sue. Thank you guys so much for checking in, and hopefully you enjoyed this. And we'll see you on the next installment of the coloring of Silence Dogood. By the way, that is I haven't even been talking about the comic book itself. This is Ben Franklin, a young Ben Franklin. He's taken out of time by an evil kind of Steve Jobs type kind of guy, insane, an insane genius. And these two guys are in the time, but they're here to rescue him. And this is a scene where they're fighting these robot battles. I love doing, and Sean likes it too, a cover that isn't just a pinup. It says something that's going on in the book. So this is going on in the book. They're battling these robots. It's a lot of fun. So you've got this cool, tough cowboy type guy and this ninja girl, and then Ben Franklin. And it's interesting. It's got, Sean's putting some thought into this book. So it's a great adventure, interesting, but it's also got some historical elements to it and a little bit of philosophy. And it's just cool. That's why I wanted to do the covers, because it caught my interest as a story. So check it out. Go find Salty on Twitter, and he can. He's got a little picture of I think it's kind of whatever. You'll find him. Sean Salter is his name, but he goes by Salty on Twitter. And subscribe to him. Look for the name of the book. Ben Franklin is Silence Dogood, time travel agent. And I think you're going to enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It's a very interesting book. And that's all there is to that. We'll see you later. Roy, we'll see everybody. Thanks for everyone for showing up. And see you next time. Thanks. Bye.